Good morning, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Rana. You may also know me as Rana. So I wanted to start off with something that I know everyone hates hearing at the beginning of a senior speech. I didn't know what to write about. But this time it's different. I didn't know what to write about because the ideas that I had in my head to make my senior speech perfect to me didn't seem right to talk about in our current situation. Nothing seemed to convey the message I wanted or seemed to fit the emotions we were all feeling. But since we all have a little bit more time on our hands now, I started to look back at old pictures from the past 4 years as a high schooler. I dug a little deeper and found old pictures and videos I had from 7th grade. And that's when it hit me. I remembered a speech I made in the 8th grade. If you were here in the 8th grade, you might remember the speech Mr. Randolph made us write and present to the class. A little background for those who weren't in our class: we had to write a last speech. Mr. Randolph took inspiration for this project from the book The Last Lecture. This book is based on the true story of Randy Pausch, who was battling cancer and had only a number of months to live. He wrote a speech of the core principles he wanted his kids to follow every day, even after his passing. Mr. Randolph wanted us to mimic the sentimental value of Randy Pausch's speech and make it our own. Basically, it's a speech you want to tell people before you die. The speech could contain anything from talking about something you love, an accomplishment in your life, things you want people to know, or advice you want to give. I look back at my presentation from March 16th, 2016, and took an idea that has stuck with me throughout high school: never take people for granted. Something that you should know about me is that I love and care about my friends and family. They mean the world to me, and I would do anything for them to be happy. The next few things I will talk about are really important to me, so if you don't listen to the rest of the speech, I hope you at least take this small phrase into consideration: never take people for granted. I strongly believe that every person you have met has a purpose and has shaped you into the person you are today. It doesn't matter if you and that person aren't close anymore and have lost contact, or if you and that person are inseparable. They have taught you something, whether you realize it or not. Now, I'm going to tell you what I have learned from two different groups of people. The first group I'm going to talk about are my friends. My friends have taught me how to be my true self and to enjoy every moment. I've been friends with some of them as early as a few years ago to 13 years ago. They have been there for me through thick and thin, and I couldn't have asked for better friends. But I've also learned that friendship doesn't last forever, whether it's because of distance or a falling out. What I've learned from this is that all you can do is be thankful for every moment you had spent with them, and to remember all the positives over the negatives. You won't stay friends with certain people forever, so you should cherish them while they are still in your life, because once they're gone, all you have left are memories. That leads to my next group: my grandparents. This is a sensitive topic for me, so I'm sorry in advance if I get emotional. In the 8th grade, both my grandpas passed away. I was completely devastated. But from each of their passings, I learned two things. From one grandpa, I learned that just because you may not be close to someone doesn't mean that they don't care about you. He taught me that you don't always have to show your feelings to let someone know you love and care about them. He was always working when I was younger, and we couldn't really talk to each other because of a language barrier. Even with these restrictions, I knew that he loved me just as much as my parents and other grandparents. He would do little acts of kindness to show me he did love me despite certain obstacles. My other grandpa is a whole different story. He was my best friend when I was younger. He was always there for me and would show his love for me every day, whether that was by making me food, buying me a new toy, or simply just hanging out with me. We did everything together and we were inseparable. But as I grew older, he moved back to the Philippines. I started to grow apart from him. He would call to see how I was doing. I wouldn't want to talk because I was busy, or because I just didn't want to. After he passed away was when I really started to follow the quote, never take people for granted. Now, I try to make sure the people I care about know how important they are to me. From him, I learned that unconditional love lasts forever, even when you aren't together anymore. Now for my thank yous. First, thank you to all my teachers. Thank you for dealing with my quietness in some of your classes, or for dealing with my ability to not shut up in others. Thank you for not only teaching me your course materials, but for teaching me life lessons, especially Coach Rick. I spent too much time with him during basketball season and just hanging out in his office that I started to pick up his mannerisms, and it was scary. Second, I would like to thank my friends. Thank you for always being there for me. I could go on and on about how great all of you are, but I don't have enough time. I just want all of you to know how much I love each and every one of you. Knowing that we have to go our separate ways in a few months scares me, because I wouldn't just miss my friends, but my family. Next, I would like to thank my parents. Thank you for being the best parents I could ever ask for. Thank you to my mom for working so hard every day. You do so much for our family, and I am forever grateful for you. Oh, God. Okay. Thank you to my dad who has taught me how similar we are. Since I was younger, you've been working so hard every day and always running around to make sure our family has everything we need and want. I know how hard it is, and I want you to know that I see it and I don't take it for granted. Thank you both for raising me to be the young woman I am today. I know I may not say it a lot, but I love both of you very much. Lastly, to the class of 2020. It's been a wild ride, but I'm glad I got to go through it with all of you. All of you have not only been friends to me, but a family throughout these 4+ years. I know we didn't end the year the way we wanted and didn't get to experience things we've been talking about since freshman year, but I'm glad to have made so many memories with all of you, which will stick with me forever. I would like to close with 2 quotes I want my fellow classmates and underclassmen to think about. The first quote is, "One day you'll be taking your last school tests and you'll have your last fire drill and last report card. One day you'll close your lockers and walk out of those doors for the last time. One day you'll be standing in an alphabetically ordered line in a cap and gown with people who you watched grow up. People who watched you grow up. A lot of these people you'll never see or hear of again. One day you'll forget about all the people you knew and you'll barely remember the memories until you find a picture that reminds you of one. One day you'll be packing up 18 years of your life into boxes and hugging your parents goodbye. One day you won't be in high school anymore. It's sad, and we're all ready to leave." The second quote is, "It went by fast, just like our parents said it would. So I hope with all my heart that each one of you cherish these precious moments we have spent together, because no matter how much you may want to, you can't come back to high school. There's a universal truth we have to face, whether or not we want to. Everything eventually ends. As much as I've looked forward to this day, I've always disliked endings, the last day of summer, the final chapter of a good book, the end with a close friend. But endings are inevitable. Leaves fall and you close the book. In a few days, we'll say our goodbyes. But as Winnie the Pooh said, how lucky am I to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard." Lastly, I would like to say that it was with all of you I had the best days of my life with. Thank you for listening to my senior speech.